Hello, it's noon on Wednesday, and we're hanging out with the one and only Matt Weinglass. He's a friend of the channel. He's out of Southern Cal, Hollywood, and we got a lot to talk about. As always, let's talk. Hello, Garland Nixon here. We're hanging out with Matt Weinglass. Matt Weinglass has The Homeless Left on Rumble. And now, guess what? At THL Presents on YouTube. And he hangs out with a lot of great guys like Pasta and Jardula and all these other guys. And they do a lot of good work. So make sure you go over to at THL Presents on YouTube and follow him. Make sure you subscribe, click the little bell, notifications, all that kind of stuff. And of course, on Rumble, because, YouTube can be a little unstable and you want to make sure you follow him on Rumble also, just in case the unthinkable happens. Now let's talk about first of all, there's a lot of unthinkable things that are going on. And let's start hitting some of the news items, right?
Yes.
Let's start with this. We'll go to two things that are, shall we say, inextricably linked. All right. Sean King over here has a thing. The Israeli flag just became the only national flag illegal to burn. Yeah, I'm dead serious. When criticizing Israel becomes a hate crime, how one ruling betrayed the First Amendment. What he's talking about was there was this thing that went on, I think it was in D.C., where there was some Zionist or something, and he was putting an Israeli flag in somebody's face or whatever, and the guy yanked on the flag. And he was charged with a hate crime. And it went to court, and they're like, yeah, that's a hate crime. He yanked on an Israeli flag. And so what happened? People started screaming, what the hell? You mean to tell me I can burn an American flag, which is First Amendment protected as America, as we always talk about. So Matt and I always discuss this. Unpopular speech, specifically, is what's protected by the First Amendment. You don't need any protection for some guy standing on the corner screaming, America's great, yeah, woo, America first. You don't need protection. You need a protection for some guy who says, I hate America. He should be able to say that. And you should be able to yank on American flag. Anyway, so let's take the short run here. To go to the next one, what happened next is Donald Trump comes around and says, hey, here's an executive order of Trump. His executive order is you can't burn an American flag, which might I add is a complete, I'm going to do an executive order that completely contradicts the First Amendment. It is my belief that when people started screaming to him, why is it that you can go to jail, be locked up, everything be charged for didn't even deface an Israeli flag, for yanking on an Israeli flag. Right. But an American flag, you can do anything in the world to do with, rather than say, hey, man, you're right, that's protected speech. He says, okay, we'll do it to the American flag too. They've already taken one of our rights. What the hell? Let's make it two for the price of one. Matt.
Yeah, no, when I saw Trump issue this executive order, one of many he's been doing this entire first year of his administration. This first thing I thought of was the Israel flag. First thing, and I'm thinking this is how you take that argument away, because it's such a one of many bullet points we've been shouting about Israel controlling every aspect of our government, the media, and everything that we're allowed to do and not allowed to do. And when you look at it's a basic question. It's an obvious question. How can a foreign country's flag have more clout than our own flag? How can you be protecting that flag over us? Any country. We're not even talking Israel. We're saying if there's something inherently wrong. If a country's set up in a way where if you're a federal worker, we know this, that you can't sign up to be a Fed worker anywhere in at least, I think 38 states, at least you have to sign your allegiance to a foreign country. So as Sean King points out in that article, it's basically Israel is more protected than the American flag itself. And the fact that you can protest your own country, you cannot protest a foreign country, that inherently is a problem. And I don't care what country it is, we should all be up in arms about it. So when I saw Trump issue this executive order, I said, here's how you even the playing field and make it harder for us to make that point, because now you can come back and say, well, you shouldn't be burning any flag. See, we say you can't do the U.S. one either. So stop making this unique point about Israel. So that's what I thought of. And then, of course, what you're saying, which is it's a direct violation of our First Amendment. This has already gone into ruling 1989. He mentions the 1989 ruling, but he supersedes it with this idea of we're trying to stop death. And what does that mean, Garland? Death? We have to stop death. What are you saying, President Trump? You're telling us that flag burning leads to death? Is that on the list of number one, number two, number three causes of death in this country? No, I'm being serious. I mean, I'm a little sarcastic, but where's the statistics on that? You literally want us to believe, and you want your base to believe that you're preventing death from happening by putting this law into action. And again, superseding a bill. It's already in a law. It's already part of our First Amendment. And this is how you trick half the country, the MAGAs, who used to be all about the Constitution, all about protecting our amendments. This one is an exception because we're trying to prevent death, i.e. safety, and that leads to all his other executive orders. It's all about protecting your safety, so we can supersede law and order in order to protect your safety. Kind of reminds me of the old Patriot Act. We got to give up our freedom to have our freedom, and it seems to work like a charm on the conservative base.
You know, there's only one thing in history that's been proven to lead to death. You know what that is? Birth. Birth. If you're born, you're going to die. Anything else in between, you know what, 100 years from now, I'm a person that, like, I believe I exercise and I try to eat healthy and I juice and I do all kinds of stuff, right? Just because, to me, I have a better quality of life. But 100 years from now, the guy that smoked 50 packs of cigarettes a day and drank a quart of liquor will be just as dead as I am. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I might get a couple more years and I may get more quality of life for longer, and he may die 20 years early, but we're all going to die. So the idea that the president can write something on a piece of paper that's going to prevent death in any way, that's going to prevent anybody, going to cause anybody to live 1 second longer. You know what I mean? You know what it reminds me of? It's the liberal version of when they said, here's what we're going to do. You can't buy an extra large Coke. You can only buy a medium Coke. Like somehow we're going to say the size soda that we allow, like you can't buy two, really. Like you couldn't like drink one. Oh boy, that's not enough. I'll go back and say, I don't drink soda, but if you want to drink soda, I don't care how healthy or unhealthy it is. That's your right. The size that you want. You might want a 5-gallon bucket of soda to see how much you can hold. You literally drink yourself to death in soda. I wouldn't be in favor of it, but I wouldn't be in favor of the government saying you can't. Well, and now Trump is doing the same. He's using the same kind of arguments, right? Big Mr. Government, Mr. I'm here to protect you from the government. All this bull crap is saying now. This could, if somebody burns a flag, I don't know what the hell, you're going to smell the fumes and die. Beats the hell out of me. But somehow I'm going to get to, if somebody burns the flag, it could shorten your life. And it's my job as the president to make sure you live a long life. So I'm going to put your ass in jail to make sure that you live a long life because I've somehow connected the flag burning to you living a long life. It's the same crap that Republicans claim they absolutely oppose.
Yeah, no, it's baffling because it's like bizarro land. You talk about a conservative ideal, which is less government. This is all about more government. And then we talk about the military element of we have to bring in more government. And they do this with the key word is safety, Garland. That's the key word. That's how you get the conservative base, is with protecting your safety. It feels better. It feels safe that you're bringing in more power, more control, more on a federal level.
It's safe, but is it safe and effective? He's got a safe and effective what is it? He's just written an executive order. He should put it on that. He should put, well, I've decided to make a safe and effective order here that's going to make you live longer. What the hell? The Democrats have their safe and effective version that seems to be the opposite. Why the hell can't he have his?
Yeah. And then look, you mentioned the soda thing, and I actually think that's definitely important here, because this is another indication that both parties are guilty of the same the same approach to every one of these issues. They punch down at the people. They say, we're going to punish you. We're going to take away your right to have choices, your right to protest, your right for everything. And you're not going to look at the real cause. You're not going to do something about, like you mentioned, the soda thing. You're not going to do something about the food companies deliberately putting chemicals and poisons into our food. You're going to punish the people. How dare you order that thing or buy that thing? And this is a mentality both parties have. They do it with every issue. We talk about protesting, the right to protest. Does it strike you at all about why do you think there's free Palestine people in the street? Why do you think this has happened? Why do you think people are protesting things that they're fed up about? Do you want to look at that, or do you want to just take rights away from people and punch down at them and punish them? And then, of course, you build up the prison industrial complex, which both parties are responsible for. And once we understand this philosophy and this approach at every single issue, we start to understand better that it is one party. It's a uni-party. It's not red versus blue. It's top versus bottom. And the sooner we can figure that out, we can challenge this stuff as a populist movement, no matter which president is doing it, whether it's Biden or Trump or Obama. It's the same thing every time. And we need to align and say enough of this already.
Yeah, it's $100,000 a year is what it costs in a lot of states, some more, to keep a person in prison. So what are we going to do? If a guy burns a flag, we're going to spend $100,000 a year now on this guy. We're going to put him in jail. Now, if he's homeless, we ain't got a dime to help build some kind of a shelter. If he's mentally ill and he's wandering around the street talking to himself and he's homeless, he can't take care of, he doesn't know what's going on, we're not going to do nothing to help him. If he's on drugs, I can recall, in Baltimore City, and I was working with some stuff I used to work with, and we were in these, nonprofit stuff, and we were in like the worst of the worst projects, right? Talking to people on the street, right? I mean, and you see the desperation. And there was this woman, and obviously she was both a drug addict and a prostitute, right? And we're talking to her, and she's over there talking to us, right? And she's saying, I don't want to live like I live. I don't like living like this. I don't want to be like this. I don't know what to do. Now, what's wrong with people like that providing something to help them get off drugs? You know what I mean? An opportunity, things like that, right? We can spend $100,000 to put her in jail for prostitution or drugs, but we can't spend $100,000, 1/5 of that, to do something to provide an opportunity for people like that. But we can put you in jail for burning a friggin' flag. And if it's Israel, we don't have any money for an American citizen who's down on their luck, as they say, who lives in a bad situation and might want out. Not a penny for that. But don't let them ask for another $50 billion to commit a genocide for it. There's no amount of, did you know this? Just to throw this out there. Israel's economy has completely collapsed. They got no economy, but they still sell government bonds and people buy them. You know why? Because it's under the full faith and credit of the United States. The United States has now said, country X, corporation X, person X, you can buy Israeli bonds. And there's no economy whatsoever behind it, because if nothing else pays, the United States will pay. Yeah. Did you know that? It's unthinkable.
No, it's totally unthinkable. The more we look into it, the whole existence of Israel is based on us in this very inorganic way. We are elevating this society out there that is completely based on us funding the entire thing, and not to mention all the things we fight for here. When we talk about healthcare, we talk about education, we talk about housing. I mean, these are things you just get just handed to you. If you want to go to Israel, there you go. You just get these things. Nobody talks about that, and it's another weird thing, isn't it? Isn't it interesting, Garland, that the right wing philosophy of support Israel no matter what, and you got this socialism going on there from us, and no mention of that. Not even a thought about, wait a minute, doesn't that go against all the things we're trying to stop here? We're trying to stop people from having free healthcare. We're trying to pull people up by their bootstraps. We're criminalizing homelessness here in California. Homelessness is criminalized. You throw a bunch of money in the pot and say, Gavin Newsom, go to work with it. And guess what he does? He buys himself a $9 million home, and you don't see the money. It's gone. And meanwhile, you're getting arrested for being homeless. That's the policy here. No one's homeless in Israel. But like you said, their economy is tanking because it was never real to begin with. The whole thing was based on a false premise that this right to exist, right to all of this stuff is completely contrived, and we've been doing it the entire time. I think that the people are waking up now and saying this doesn't. Not only is this not fair, not only this doesn't seem right. It's not sustainable. That's the other part of it, and I think we're living to the end of it right now in our lifetimes. Right now,
Israel's the size of New Jersey. Apparently, there's a lot of homeless people in Jersey, but not Israel. They build these settlements, and they put these settlers in it. They don't seem too settled to me, but they put these settlers in it, right? You know where they work? A lot of them work, or my understanding is most of them, nowhere. Ain't that nice? The government builds housing for you, and then you move into the housing with your family, and you don't have to work. Everything's paid for. You're given a monthly, you're completely taken care of. Explain to me how that's okay when people here are laying around on the street, living in filthy tents and old boats and RVs. And I know a guy who had an old RV, and he's like, I'm just going to get rid of this thing. I'm just going to take it, dump or whatever, and have it smushed. I'm going to get rid of it. It had some problems, and always like, I'm getting another RV. I'm just getting rid of this one. And his wife said, well, just put it on Facebook Marketplace, see if it sells. He's like, nobody's going to buy this thing. It's the wheels hanging off. He put it on Facebook Marketplace. He got $800 for it. You know why? The person came. They were fighting over it to live in. Wow. And what they found out was the guy that bought it came and said, look, this guy had some property, a farm or whatever, and he allows me, and I've just been staying in like a lean-to or something, like it's family. And so we're going to pull that in there, and now we'll have something to live in. They were so happy. This is America. Wow. You're living in a freaking old beat up people. This is normal. People were fighting him. They were arguing over it. They were trying to outbid him. But you go to Israel, they build you a nice new place, and you live in there, and running water and everything you could ask for. It's insane. It's absurd. And now we're having this video, and we're saying, hey, I'm not happy with the Israel thing. Oh, you could lose your channel. What are they going to arrest you next for saying you're unhappy with Zionism? It seems to me.
No, the crackdown on free speech is it's insane, because that was, again, another thing that Trump ran on, was that he was calling out a lot of the censorship that we lived through with Biden. We were victims, and we saw all that. We saw you couldn't talk about COVID. You can't challenge the Ukraine proxy war. There's so many things that Biden cracked down on, and Trump was supposed to undo that. And we're like, well, where is he going to go on the Israel thing? We're like, it's hard to read it. It's hard to read it, because he would speak on both sides of his mouth on it. But we're like, is he gonna do little bait and switch with Netanyahu? A lot of people were hoping that there was something there. No, he doubled down on it. And this, the way the censorship machine works is you got so much money. You got AIPAC, you got the ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt, every day looking for ways to criminalize us having conversations, looking for ways to make us the criminal for even challenging any of this. And when you look at the technology behind it, this is the scariest part. We talk about Palantir. We talk about this. They're not only the company that was the biggest beneficiary of the big, beautiful bill. We're talking about $320 billion going to this company that is responsible for the military occupation, the targeting of not just Palestinians, and shooting babies in the back of their head with this very sophisticated technology that they have. And they're talking about a three-front war. We're talking about Russia, Iran, and China. But it's also the domestic problem here. Palantir is, and people don't know this, that's the company behind ICE. That's how you're going around getting all of these raids happening. It's this super duper technology, putting everybody in some supercomputer. That's actually what's happening. It's not a conspiracy theory. And we talk about the worst part of it is the pre-crime division. What is that? Pre-crime? That sounds like a Hollywood movie. Yeah, it was. It was called Minority Report. And it was warning us that we're getting to this point where this is real. That's what this is. So Garland, when you talk about shutting down our channels, this is another level of crazy, because it's not just things that we might have said. It's things that we're going to say. And they got the algorithm on us, and they say, Matt and Garland, they're the most likely people to go out and burn an Israeli flag or burn a U.S. flag, because based on their behavior, we can anticipate that they're going to do these horrible things. Let's shut them down now. And we can tell people we did it that way. They don't even have to hide behind it. They can say, we stand behind the math. We stand behind the algorithm. We're keeping America safe. We're keeping everybody safe. We're keeping the community safe. By the way, that's the email I got when they shut down our channel on YouTube, was we got to keep the YouTube community safe from your conversations. I kid you not. So why not just do it preemptively? That's the next step. That's what we're all living through now. And it's not a Republican or Democrat, Trump, Kamala. It's none of that. It's the power above all of those people punching down at all of us. And we need to see it. We need to wake up and see it. It's not red versus blue. It's top versus bottom.
And you know something else? I've been looking at a lot of stuff. Apparently, Trump had some health issues. You know, have you seen where like he's got some leg swelling? He's got these bruises on his. I don't know what it is, but he's not a young man. Here's reality. He's not a young man. He's almost 80 years old, and he has a very trying job. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying he's going to croak, but his health could go bad, and J.D. Vance could have to come in. And J.D. Vance's whole history, he was built by Palantir, Peter Thiel. You know what I'm saying? So people are like, well, J.D. Vance will come in and he is an expression of Palantir. You know what I mean? He's smart, he's slick, he's knows what to say and how to say it. But in my opinion, if there are people, oh yeah, we'll be better off with JD because Trump is a crazy man. Yeah, well, if you think Palantir is a good idea, basically they might as well put the Palantir logo up over the White. It just about ought to be over the White House now. JD Vance comes in, you might as well put it up over the White. Get rid of the American flag. Well, you can't burn that anyway, but put up a Palantir flag.
Yeah, that's where we're headed. And the idea is that people need to know this. Look, Trump didn't handpick J.D. Vance. By the way, Biden didn't handpick Kamala either. These are people assigned to them. I know it's a hard concept to understand, but Trump isn't this diabolical Dr. Evil putting this whole plot together. He's being told exactly what to do from the top down, just like Obama. One of our co-hosts, Jay Scott, he came up with this. He said, and I know a lot of people are saying this now, but I think I first heard it from him, that Trump is Obama 2.0. That's what he is.
I've been saying it.
He's the handpick. You've said it too, Garland. It's the handpick, the guy that's representing that half of the country. All you need is 51% to get on board and to say this guy is taking on the power. He's sticking it to the man. He's taking on the deep state, whatever the language is. And we're completely oblivious to the fact that on day one, in Trump's case, it's actually before day one. Obama's case, it was day one. Here's your email, Mr. President. Welcome to office. Here's all your Citibank people you're going to put on every single position. No questions asked. That's it. Those are your people. And what happens next with Obama? He bails, all the banks out and kicks 5.4 million people out of their home. Why? Because that's what he was instructed to do. Trump has a Zionist cabinet on every position. And when you talk about the technocracy behind Peter Thiel, who, like you said, you have J.D. Vance assigned, not picked by Trump, assigned. This is the new age of technocracy, and Trump is just a puppet. And he's basically, and again, I'm not excusing his behavior. I'm saying he's perfect. He's the perfect selection to bring in this new age of technocracy because he sells it so well. He's so good at it. And people think it's his idea. I decided to do this. No, they're giving him the instructions. Every single one of these executive orders, every single one of these deals, whether it's with Ellison, the AI company, with we're gonna find your cancer before you have it and give you some mRNA, whatever it is. This isn't Trump's idea. These are the people running it and controlling it, just like Obama. We've been had again.
Yeah, 100%. Let me find this. Hold on one second. I've been showing this a lot. And anybody who doesn't get it, they only need to look at this. They're like, oh, Trump's being hard on crime, and he's going to do something to stop crime. Pentagon drawing up quick reaction force of National Guard ready to quell civil unrest at any moment. Because of the things that we're saying, right? The Pentagon, there we go. They're going to do that. A reaction force, blah, 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 ready to deploy at any minute, right? It was in the Washington Post, deploy as little as an hour. And he says, we will not discuss these plans through leaked documents, Right. Okay. So they're like, oh, isn't this wonderful? Trump's put National Guard people in the street, and that's going to, stop bad people from doing crime and blah, 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 blah. My opinion is it's a trial run. They're planning on it. They're telling you, first of all, why would they think there's civil unrest? Well, here's an example of why, and you've probably seen this. The Israelis, that people are going to like, as we get closer to the election, as the longer this genocide goes on, more people are going to be in the street. People are going to be completely revolting. People are going to be completely going bonkers over this stuff. The Israelis, they're literally on videotape bombing a hospital, and then when people come to help, they bomb. They're killing protesters. They're killing people at a hospital. They're killing aid workers. The most evil, horrible thing. And then Netanyahu has to come out. Oh well, we didn't know we were doing. And you're like, you've been doing this over and over. If you remember, the first hospital they bombed. And everybody's like, hey, you bombed the hospital. They said, no, it was Hamas. Hamas, one of their bombs blew up the hospital. No, it wasn't us. It was them. How dare you say we blew up a hospital, right? And then the next thing you know, they blew up every other hospital. Every hospital's been blown up. The first one, they tried to pretend it was Hamas. Then they said, out of hell with it. Now they're double tapping a hospital. And they're like, oh, yeah, we didn't mean to do that. You're shooting kids between the stinking eyes. But we're supposed to believe. It's absurd. And this is what they know will cause civil unrest. Anyway, your thoughts on the latest Israeli genocidal lunacy?
Garland, every time there's another intentional just slaughter by the IDF, by Israel, we think they can't outdo themselves again. And then they outdo themselves again. This particular incident being aired on live TV that you're mentioning, this was the last hospital. So we have 36 hospitals being bombed from the first to the last. This is the Nazar hospital. We had 20 deaths on this in this live feed that people saw them just blow to shreds. And you mentioned the paramedic workers and the people. These are all innocent people. There's nothing to do with Hamas. Hamas can't function in a parking lot, because that's what Gaza's been turned to. This was the last hospital. And the most infuriating part, it's all infuriating, but I think maybe the saddest, most tragic is you have the journalists from Gaza, that they're the only ones able to capture this, because other journalists, we're not allowed to go. We're not allowed to go in there. Israel does not allow media into the crime scene because they're protecting themselves. So what do they do with the journalists that are there, the handful that are left? They've been targeting and murdering them the whole time. We've been shouting about this, but these ones got killed on live TV. And to watch these and this the courage they have to have, the resolve they have to know every single day what they're doing is not only the right thing to do, it's the heroic thing to do, but it could be the last thing they do. And they have to be content with that. And every one of them are. You can't be there without being resolved with that. So let's start with that. Where you have to be to go into a place where what they were doing at the time, by the way, at Nazar Hospital, they were retrieving a body of another killed journalist. That they were retrieving the body, and there was a few cameramen, there were people there filming, and then the paramedic workers helping, and they all just got blown to shreds on live TV. So what is this? What happens from that point? What do we have? We have the same BS coming from Netanyahu, saying it was a miss. He literally says that it was a mishap. The Israeli soldiers that were given the order to murder them, they're speaking up. They're saying, wait a minute, you're calling what we did the job you told us to do, you're calling it a mishap? That's what they're saying. The Israeli soldiers who murdered them are saying, why are you calling it a mishap? And Netanyahu has to say, you guys know the drill. We lie to the West in English, and then we tell the truth to Israelis in Hebrew. That's what they do. We don't know how to do translations, Garland. We have no, yes, we do. We can see it. All you got to do is just do the translations. You'll see they're telling everybody in Israel, mission accomplished. They're telling us, oopsie, mishap. And what do the other journalists do? You and I are talking about it. What are the mainstream media journalists do? Anybody out there who thinks there's any credibility left in CNN or MSNBC or Fox? You are living in an insane reality that doesn't exist. These people should be yelling about it. These people should be saying, you killed our fellow journalists who are allowed to be there. We're not allowed to be there. and they're dead on purpose. F you, Netanyahu. We're done supporting this. Where is that outcry? Why does it take doctors to? I saw we researched this, Garland. We went on BBC. CNN International. There were 2 doctors that were able to talk about this, and the hosts of BBC and on CNN they pretended to not. They go, what? That's weird, because the IDF says they're investigating themselves right now. That's what and then you're just reporting lies. Well, we're just reporting what they're telling us. Yes, those are lies. Those are lies. These journalists were killed intentionally. And you guys have to report on and stop playing dumb. So at least they're letting the doctors talk and not cutting the feed. That's great. Good job, BBC. You let them speak about it. But where's the uproar from the networks? Where's the uproar from your trusted names in news? Where's it here in our country? Where's the uproar? You have to turn on YouTube Rumble to get it. They might pull the plug on us for talking about it. That's all you got. So if you're seeing us now talking about this, have these conversations with your colleagues and friends and families, because that's all we can do. Share this out. This is what's happening. This is what we're supporting. This is what we're funding. And this is what we're being criminalized to have a problem about.
Absolutely. Here's a perfect example of what you just said. Smotrich on Gaza civilians, let them die of hunger or surrender. Far-right Islam have openly called for the starvation of Gaza's population during a heated cabinet meeting. We order you to carry out a quick operation. You can besiege them. Whoever doesn't evacuate, don't let them. No water, no electricity. Let them die of hunger or surrender, right? But now here's the thing about it. It's to me, it's like Ukraine. These guys goose step around and say, yeah, step on Bandera, we love Nazis. And then these friggin' liberals and the conservatives run around the U.S. No, they're not Nazis. They say they're Nazis. They got Nazi memorabilia all over them. Nah, they're not Nazis. They're nice guys. They're just that's Putin rhetoric there. It's Russian propaganda. Though they say it. And now we're like, they're committing to genocide. Oh, no, don't use that word or you'll be thrown off whatever your platform you're on. And no, it's not genocide, blah, blah, blah. And Trump, they're trying to get Hamas is stealing the food that they're bringing in. And then you're like, what are you guys doing? We're killing them all. We're dying. Let them all starve and die of hunger. They're telling you what they're doing. And here we are in the United States with these lunatic proxies saying it. And our government saying, don't believe them what they're telling you that they're doing. Believe us that they're not doing it. Well, the bad news, we do believe them. We didn't need them to tell us that. We got eyes. But that to me says, I can't say Israel is somehow worse than the U.S. government. I can't say that. The U.S. government, that's like saying, you know what? My hand here, remember there was an old Twilight Zone movie or something where the guy's hand got possessed and it was committing murders and he couldn't stop him and he chopped it off with an axe. That's what it is. My hand over here is possessed. Now the rest of me doesn't want to do this, but this hand just wants to keep committing these crimes. That's the way they talk about it. Israel, you provide everything for them. And if somebody in your party, if you're a Democrat and you say, hey, I suggest maybe we should say something about the genocide, don't say that. You're not allowed to. You'll be kicked out of the party. Somebody runs for New York City mayor, wherever, and says, hey, it's a genocide. I'm not down with it. The whole party is going to say, we don't want anything to do with that guy. We got to help him lose. It's unbelievable to watch the system here. It's a genocidal system. We live in an empire, and it's a Zionist empire first.
Yeah. And the media is not just doing they're not doing a bad job at not calling out. They're doing the job they're signed up to do, which is to protect that. And you mentioned the Ukraine thing. It's fascinating because on one hand, we think, do better, guys. Like it was Meet the Press. It was Kristen Welker had the Russian
that interview. Yeah,
that interview. That was
Lavrov.
Lavrov goes on and tells her, you're not it's like on one hand, he's like having to educate her on how to do journalism. On the other hand, you're watching, you're like, no, she did exactly her job. She's a propagandist, and she's one of the people that should get an award for getting the entire American population on board, however many they could get on board with the Ukraine proxy war and get those yellow and blue flags up in their social media. She did that by design. So the way you do that is you don't ask the right questions, you don't listen to the answers, and you try to create fear by not being based in reality. And he had to educate her on that. But again, it's not educating her. I think he's educating the audience. That's what. So if anybody was watching, if you have to watch her Meet the Press every Sunday, you think you're getting the news, that would have been one to watch, because he's telling you this person you guys are trusting is not doing the job you think she's doing. Because I'm telling you, here's the circumstances of here's what we're dealing with. Here's what Putin's dealing with. Here's what you guys are doing. He goes down a bullet point list of all the deceptive things that Ukraine is doing. And we're going to talk about doing a deal. The last thing he says, I love this part. He says, we will meet with Zelensky, but because he's the de facto leader, according to Ukrainian law, he's not actually legitimately the president right now. So he can't actually sign the paperwork. And she's like, what did you just say? And he's like, I'm just telling you, like, logistics and law. That's it. I'm not. And she's like, are you saying? No, I'm telling you the thing you've been reporting about this. Right. He's been illegitimate this whole way, according to their own doctrine in Ukraine. And you don't even tell your audience that. So we're letting you know that they're going to have to figure this out if we're going to actually sign anything. So you should tell your audience that, because they're missing that part.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting is this too, that what she did drives people to us, alternative media, right? I remember when Tucker Carlson interviewed President Putin, and he was like, ask him a question, and then he'd shut up. And what do you know? He'd allow him to talk. Then he'd ask him a question, and he'd shut up and allow him to talk, right? And the mainstream media, how come he didn't challenge him on this? How come he didn't challenge him from what perspective? You know, if I'm going to challenge you, what am I going to tell you? What they actually were saying is, how come he doesn't fight for the CIA's narrative? How come he doesn't fight for the Zionist empire's narrative? We have a narrative, and President Putin has a different perspective. Now, when I listen to an interview of President Putin or the president of China or the president of Nicaragua or the president of anywhere, I want to hear what the hell that person has to say. I can turn on you, Kristen asshole, whatever your name is, anytime and listen to what you have to say. You're not the president of anybody. I want to listen to that person. And you know what? I hear you drive these CIA narratives home 7 days a week if I watch this crap with you on it. I don't need an eighth.
Yeah.
So if you bring on Lavrov, I need you to shut your pie hole. Ask him a question so I can hear what he has to say. She literally says, did Russia invade Ukraine? And he starts to talk, well, yes or no, yes or no. And I'm thinking, is that a question for me? What do I need that question for? But when I turn on Larry Johnson and Judge Knapp, when they got interviewed by Lavrov, they ask him a question, then they shut the hell up. Because I can hear these guys anytime. Love them. But I can hear them anytime. I want to hear what Lavrov has to say. So when I watched her, I'm like, that's exactly why I will never watch your news channel. I don't want to watch you talk disrespectfully to a foreign dignitary. I don't need you to push a narrative that I already know and say, my job is here to say, look, the CIA says this, 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 and this. Anytime you say anything that implies that you don't agree with the CIA narrative or the CIA narrative is wrong, I will show anger. Did you see her face was like this? Are you saying? Yeah. Did you say? And I'm like, I didn't want to hear you, lady. Let the guy talk.
Yeah. No. And look, if people are figuring this out, for the first time, congratulations. You're you got your critical thinking hats on again. Good for you. Welcome to the team, Team Humanity. But like, if you guys are just trying to figure out how this works, it just look for one of the easiest detectors of this very, very nefarious approach to journal. We won't even call it journalism. It's propaganda. When a news anchor is interviewing somebody and they do it on a pre-record and they say, we're going to play you pieces of it. And then they look in the camera and tell you, there's parts of this we're just not going to be able to show you because it's too out there, too dangerous. But trust us, it was bad. We'll give you a summary of it. And you're just like, wait a minute, you're not going to show us the thing. So there's a reason they're not doing that. And they used to do that with RFK Jr. if it was about if we're talking about pharma or talking about vaccines, like, well, we can't show you the rest of it. It's so wild. You guys wouldn't, but trust us, you know, we'll screen it for you and then we'll let you know how it goes. And that's how you get people to hate and be afraid of somebody. And they think they were watching the news all this. You weren't watching news. You're watching propaganda. And now you formed an opinion about someone. You never heard him talk about anything. You never heard a word from Putin until Tucker interviewed him. You never heard it. And then you were told Tucker was doing a bad thing. He's a careerist, or it's like, he's interviewing, as we would say, a foreign adversary. We'd want to hear what he has to say. So don't fall for that anymore, that we have to protect ourselves from words of somebody you might disagree with, because it's dangerous. So that's number one. That's like lesson 101 in this area.
And here's the other thing. Here's what we saw. Their job is to be the gatekeepers for the narrative. Yep. Anybody, including President Putin or Lavrov, who says something outside of the narrative, they know their job is to defend the narrative. When I was doing a radio show at Sputnik, right? CNN sent me something and they said, yes, Garland, something, blah, blah, blah about Sputnik. Somebody's making these claims about Sputnik. We'd like to interview you. Are you, would you be, good to do an interview for Radio Sputnik? And I said, love to, as long as it's live. Never got an email back, because I knew that they were going to say, you know how they'll do, they'll cut it out, right? They'll just cut it out. I'll be like, well, people are going to scream, Garland's good. What do they think? I'm on the radio all the time, every day, just saying, I love Putin. I love Putin. No, I'm not on the radio to say that. I'm on the radio to do the same thing that I do on YouTube or anything, or Pacific or anywhere else, right? They cut this out. Let's hear Garland Nixon. I love Putin. I love Putin. See, there we go. That's what they cut out. They cut out everything on either side, and they just played, I love Putin. So we've got an interview with Garland Nixon from Sputnik. Let's hear what he has to say. I love Putin. I love Putin. There we go. That's the end of the interview. You know what I mean? So you can't even, I refused to do an interview unless it was live. Yeah. And they never even recontacted. They didn't answer the email. Because it was like, oh, you kidding me? Live? You're going to say some things that are going to make us look pretty bad. Yeah.
Since we're on the topic, I got to say, Garland, like, when we first started having conversations, and you guys were, you and Dr. Leon, you were doing the critical hour. Yeah. Oh man, what an incredible show that was. I was so fortunate to meet you guys and to come on for you guys, a little 15-minute segments of just raw back and forth. Just whatever goes. And I love that. And then, RT being the same, I was being introduced to all these people, and, Craig Pasta introduced me to, you guys have been incredible at that time. And just so you guys, people watching, the timeline on this is when Biden put the sanctions on and said, oh, we're cutting the feed, Russia propaganda. And I couldn't believe this. I was like, wait a minute, right when I was getting into this world. And I got to say to anybody like me being kind of still kind of a newbie in this, I'll say this. I am just blown away by the respect that we all get and we give each other in a space where we're not picking and choosing talking points. We're not getting emails telling us what you can't say. And when I did have the chance to go on RT, when we had the LA raid, the ICE raids, and we had some crazy riots here. We had some stuff going down, and they wanted my opinion from the ground. I will vouch for, exactly how that happened. They said, we're cutting to Matt Weinglass on the ground in LA. You're going to tell us what's going on live. And I was like, hell yeah, this is what it's about. And people saying, oh, Russian propaganda. Really? I get to report what's happening here, and nobody's screening me and telling me and cutting it out. And so so you take that model, you put it up against CNN and Fox and MSNBC, and you go, what is this thing that we're still trying to protect here? Our state media, they would never, ever let me oh yeah, right. There would be a screening process. So you guys, anyone who's concerned, RT, this and that, man, that was awesome. And I hope we're able to do more of that. And I hope that somehow these sanctions can be lifted. We can have some more opportunities to get information out to people, because that's what it's about.
If you remember this, when they pushed through RT off YouTube, it was the #1 destination. It was the #1. They had more views than anybody else, like billion views or something insane like that. They won't accept, and this is the great thing about the alternative media and these shows that we all do. They won't accept that people have the right to choose whatever they want and that people are smarter enough to figure out what they enjoy. Instead, it's like, no, you can't watch that because it's bad for you. And we're the ruling elite and it's not safe and effective. So we've got to make sure that's there. That's, I always like to go back to that. It's not safe. It's pretty damn effective, but it ain't safe for our narrative.
Yeah.
And they just kick us out. They really, to me, I always go back to this. They really started a lot of this stuff. They didn't start before, but really during COVID is when they used that. That was the door they opened it all with. It started with, we've got to keep you safe because these people want to do things that's going to kill you. They would literally say, they're going to kill you. They're going to take lives. They literally had a thing in the Washington Post, and it had a picture of a gravestone, and on it said, he did his own research. Research. Hey, man, you know what a PhD is? It's a research degree, really. A PhD is about, it's a research degree. It used to be that being an academic, oh, those are books behind me. Don't want to read those. They'll kill you if you read some of those books. Don't put those away. I remember some WikiLeaks info was released, and literally a guy on CNN said, you shouldn't read this. You should allow us to read it and we'll interpret it for you. Because you're not smart enough, I guess. I don't know. He left that part out. And that's where we are now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so, and you mentioned the COVID era. It was a way to kind of condition us, kind of program people in this. We're all in this together. 2 weeks to slow the curve. I mean, I'm going through these are the ones that said that we're going to sacrifice everything for the sake of everyone and the goal of getting to the destination. And then that destination was very unclear. What are we sacrificing for? What is the end game result? And we talk about what works, what doesn't. Lockdowns work, they don't work. Jabs work, they don't work. So we never asked this question. Work to do what? What is it? Because in a sense, they were actually right. Lockdowns did work. They allowed the biggest upward transfer of wealth in human history in the CARES Act, March of 2020. That did work. The jobs did work too, because they got everybody to comply, and they got to a litmus test to see who would sign up for this, and it made a ton of money for pharma. So in a way, it worked as well. But this conditioning, you're totally right. Like, oh, let's not talk about COVID anymore. That's in the past. Let's move on. No, that wiring is very important that we talk about that wiring, because it's being used over and over. And back to the Trump thing, this is how you get the other half of the country on board for we're all in this together for our safety. And that's you can put the military out in any part of the country now. It's for our safety. You want to stop a few deaths. JD Vance says we're stopping. We stopped 6 to 7 deaths in DC in the last 2 weeks. Did you know that? We're so proud. And we're like, oh, if you challenge that, then you're insensitive to the 6 to 7 people's lives that you apparently stopped from being killed. Just like we were insensitive to say, maybe you shouldn't put all the small businesses out of work, all the people losing their entire well-being during COVID. Oh, what, you want to kill grandma? So they use these numbers of, oh, you have a problem with that? We just saved a handful of people. Really? Well, what did you just do to the society? What did you just do to DC? By the way, DC, people not being able to function, the business is not functioning because you had the military out there for 2 weeks and longer. I think it's going to be 30 full days. They're out there. You've already shut down some businesses. They're not talking about that. So it's the same thing over and over. And the only difference this time is you have Trump. We talk about who is the mouthpiece for the operation. All they do is change the mouthpiece, and you get the other half of the country on board, where they were skeptical before. Now they're championing it. And the other side was championing it before, and now they're skeptical. But who's going to be skeptical of both? Who's going to be in the space with us that can call out both sides, and not just when it's the bad guys doing it? Because we don't do anything wrong.
I wonder, we saved 6 or 7 deaths. Yeah, I wonder how many people died of heart attacks or blood clots or other things that, who knows why, turbo cancers, things of that, 6 or 7 deaths, I'll just throw this out there. We don't know why, but United Health, which is by far the largest health company in the world, right? They're going to crap. You know why? You know what? Now, this is what they've said. Well, it's costing too much for people who have Medicare Advantage, are having a lot more sicknesses and illnesses that are. if you start looking at it, what's happening is this: people in their like 20s and 30s are coming down with a lot of normally, how does insurance work? It's simple. Most people 20, when I was in my 20s, I was, I had whatever Blue Cross Blue Shield. I never got sick. Maybe twisted an ankle playing basketball or something, right? Until I was 40, probably about 40, nothing ever happened. If I have a car accident, I got a cold or something. I, fell, and even then I got up and brushed it off and kept going, right? How do they make money? All these 20 and 30-year-olds are paying in to United Health, but they don't get sick, so they make money off of them and they can pay out this and that. Well, what happens now that all these 20 and 30-year-olds are having tumors and heart attacks and all of these pancreatic cancers and all these expensive things that for some odd reason, we have no idea why. YouTube, probably just the luck of the draw, I'm sure. But all these young people are coming down with all of these illnesses that they didn't normally have. That's extremely expensive. And companies like United Healthcare are saying, well, we can't afford to pay out because these people never got sick in the past. We can't pay out for the 60-year-olds that have bad backs and need back surgery and hip replacements, which is another, can be another scam, some of these replacements, and pay out for the 20 and 30-year-olds who have heart problems and shit that they never had before.
No,
you know what I mean? But we can't even address the possibilities of why all of these new illnesses are arising.
No, we know, Garland, that obviously doctors are baffled. They're completely just shell shocked about these new increasing statistics, and they're looking into it. But what they can tell us, 100% with pure accuracy, without a doubt, they know what it's not, and that's the line of garbage we've been being told since 2021, that we know what it's not. We're not allowed to talk about it. And what's worse is I think that there's a reconditioning in our minds about that, even though on paper, like you said, the insurance companies can see the spikes in the last 4 years. They can see it. It's right on the page. The numbers don't lie there. But at the same time, this idea that we're going to pretend that this has always been happening. I think that's the thing where we're like, oh yeah, when young, healthy athletes in high school just run too fast, they drop dead. That's what happens. By the way, young people have myocarditis now. It's just a thing. But don't worry, guys. It's not like the bad kind. It's the easy kind. The kind where you have heart problems the rest of your short life. Yeah, that kind. That's the easy kind. New terms are being created, Garland. We have a rapid cancer. That's a new one. That's everywhere. What about SADS? What's that one? Oh, sudden adult death syndrome. There's a new one for you. Get used to this, guys. Oh, look at that.
Rising rates of early onset cancer. In other words, younger people. What to know about it? I can tell you what they can tell you about it. They know what it ain't.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you they know. I guarantee you they know what it's not.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Could you imagine during the age of smoke, when smoking cigarettes, like 4 out of 5 docters smoke Marlboro, that whole thing? Could you imagine if we weren't allowed, when people dropped dead of lung cancer, they got this lung cancer happened, that we weren't allowed to ask how many packs of smokes did they have every week? How dare you ask that question? That is private. That is what they do, is completely private. We're going to look into it and try to find out, but don't you dare talk about that. That's unrelated. We know it has nothing to do with the cigarettes they smoke. So that would be weird, right? Let's add to the weirdness. What if cigarettes were mandated on everybody to smoke? Well, now we understand why you're not allowed to question them when people die of lung cancer, because everybody was forced to smoke them. That's the analogy I'm making, so people can see how insanely ridiculous it is that we're not allowed to ask these questions right now. We don't have to be medical experts to say, that's weird. Look at the timeline, 2021 till now. What's going on? Oh, no, it's not that. Shut up.
Bacterial toxins. They've solved it. Sherlock Holmes has stepped in. There we go. It's bacterial toxins that's caused it. Clearly, it has nothing to. It couldn't possibly be anything else. Like you said, if you say, well, perhaps it's something that's safe and effective, they'll say, no, it isn't that. Here's another. Let's see. Here we go. You could go on and on. Let me see. Uh, Here's another one. Watch this. The race to explain why more young adults are getting cancer. How strange is that?
I
Isn't it
like the
weird?
title, The Race to Explain. The race to spin, to come up with the public, what is the headline going to be to make everyone okay with it? That's the race to explain. I love it. Not the race. Isn't that funny? Not the race to find out. It's the race to explain. So you're starting with a predetermined answer and you're working backwards. That's reverse engineering. That's not cool. You don't there's some things you don't reverse engineer in this life. One of them is investigative journalism. That's not, and science. By the way, that's not how science is supposed to. You're not supposed to reverse engineer. You can have a hypothesis, but you're not allowed to say we're going to have our conclusion first, and then we're going to figure out how to sell it. That's what that is. That's a selling point, and the headline is telling us that. How do we explain the thing that we need to explain with the answer we need it to be? What's the right way to do that?
Oh, let's see. National Cancer Institute. I mean, it goes, oh, wait a minute. Where's the other one we find? I mean, you could go on with this, but just here we go. Why, as rates of some cancers increase in younger people, researchers search for answers. Listen, I don't know. You can't really say. There we go. Blah blah blah. He couldn't wear with a business suit. Said he couldn't rule out the possibility. I don't know. You can't say if it was, but I think about it. He said, maybe it was already there when he was at Disney World, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're finding very young people, a harbinger of a larger problem, right? And they're like, people now are coming down with like pancreatic cancer, something that is pretty much, generally older people. They had some kid that was like 8 years old, pancreatic cancer. Did you know that LeBron James' his son had a heart attack? I think he was at USC, and he was like 19 or 20. He was the second kid on his team to have a heart attack. Yeah. I played basketball in high school. I played basketball at community college. And then for years and years and years, I played in leagues. That was my recreation I enjoyed, right? I never knew of anybody having a heart attack, much less two people on the same team. No. Never knew of anyone. It was unheard of. Yeah. And now it's, I guess, you go to a basketball team, you ask around, hey, anybody had any heart attacks? And like 5 hands go up. It's absurd. Yeah.
And again, like if anybody's still like, hey, well, why are you guys talking about that? And then trying to merge these two issues. Well, remember everyone, these young athletes were forced to get this thing in order to play their sport, because it was dangerous not to have this injection because you might kill somebody on the soccer field, on the basketball court. So we know this thing went around unless you somehow slid between the cracks. Pretty much every one of these kids got this thing. We know this. This is public record. Not to mention this championing of when you go out in public, you have to show your medical record. So ask yourself that. If you think that we're prying into private, let people mourn the deaths of their loved one. Don't pry. Well, you were prying for 2 years, telling us to participate in society. We had to show our medical records. So we're not allowed to ask about medical procedures that might have been done, that might have led up to this horrible problem that caused your family member to have the heart attack. Now, of course, LeBron's son survived the heart attack, but he's had plenty of problems since. He can only play in sprints, little stints of time. I mean, what is that like to live with heart condition the rest of your life? When you're the son of one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen, and you probably were in tip-top shape when that happened. Is anybody concerned about that? That these aren't kids with underlying conditions that are having heart attacks. These are healthy, probably the most healthy kids you can imagine. LeBron James' son is 19 years old. I mean, how could you imagine? How could you handpick a better specimen of health and fitness than LeBron James' son at a USC basketball team and going down, like you said, the second player to drop down from a heart attack in the same season. It's insane. Never happened when I played ball, ever.
Yeah, it's absurd. Absolutely absurd. But we're just saying that I have no possible idea what we could be causing these problems. Probably obesity. Maybe people aren't getting enough exercise. They're eating, too many people are vegan. I don't know what the hell. We have no idea in the world.
Yep.
No, there's no reason that we should do any studies to find out. That would be anti-Semitic, first of all, and it would be Russian propaganda if somebody was to suggest that maybe we should do some studies to figure out if some of the things, medical procedures that may or may not have been, forced upon people in the last years could be as a result. We don't want to do that because that would be anti-Semitic more than anything else. So we're staying away from that here. We know that right now we recommend anyone who, if you have any problems at all, maybe a headache, go get a booster. Perhaps a skin rash, get yourself a booster. We recommend here that they're safe and effective. And the best thing that you can do for you and everyone 24 hours a day, 7 days. I recommend, here's what I do at night. I have an IV bag and I just have an IV connected to me and I just have constant boosters running, kind of like Michael Jackson when he had that thing that kept him, would help him sleep. That's the direction I'm going. And might I suggest that if you want to live a long and healthy life, never have a turbo cancer, no heart attacks or nothing, your nightly booster will get you in the right direction. That's the way we move. Now,
absolutely, yeah.
Let's move to the next. I want to ask you something. We're starting to hear some voices. Jim Carrey has spoken out about the Zionist, scourge that we're seeing in occupied Palestine. What do we need to know about that?
Well, I was sent this by a family member, this video that he dropped, or I don't know if he didn't make the video. It's like an AI video, but he wrote this beautiful poem that he narrates, and he put it up on YouTube about a week ago. And I hope more people see it and listen to the words, because these are words you don't hear from celebrities at all. I mean, a lot. Now, look, I'm not taking away from those who have been vocal.
Sure.
We certainly have seen some people vocal in Hollywood, but they have to be very careful with just saying something simple like we should care about, babies in Gaza. That's going too far. But what Jim Carrey does in this, it's a 19-minute video of him talking behind this, these graphics, and he gets to the heart of it. He tells you everything we've been talking about today, Garland. And he talks about the problem of how the control Israel has in silencing these type of things, even though the whole world can see it. And he talks and he urges people to look closer at it and understand that there is a mechanism preventing us from doing something about this and ending this problem and ending Israel's control. So he talks about it and asks humanity to come together even more, even though people but they need to do even more. We need to do even more. And says, and I think this is the key part. He talks about being on the right side of history. And it gave me a little like Caitlin Johnstone kind of vibe from him, that he was saying, look, you guys, like this is your time. You're going to regret not doing this, not being on the right side with this one. And so this is your moment. If you missed it till now, okay, but now you have to do something. So we ask ourselves in Hollywood, and we ask ourselves this: well, why would Jim Carrey be an exception to something like this? Why would he be able to put something out like this? Well, he has kind of unofficially retired from acting. So you think about that, you go, huh? So they don't have anything they can really take from him. It's interesting. They don't have anything they can really take from him. I got to give the guy props, but let's be honest. Let's be real. If this was happening, in 1995, when Jim Carrey was at the height of his, his Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura and Batman Forever.
Yeah, couldn't do it.
No way. Would he be thinking these things? Sure. But this is the dilemma we have here in Hollywood. As you're a careerist. When do you draw the line? When do you become a Susan Sarandon and say, I'm going to put humanity over my career, and I'm okay if CAA fires me? It's worth it. That's that's the question they all have to ask. So you got to give Jim Carrey props for that. And then I'll mention this too. And this is also interesting. he has a history of speaking up on the right things, as we know. Well, I don't know, people don't know this, but he was one of the first people speaking out against pharma way back in 2009 alongside Jenny McCarthy. So that's something to look at as well. So I'll throw that out there for people who don't know that. Of course, he went silent on it later, but it was awesome to see him say, look, the system is rigged and pharma controls it. It's great that a guy like that could do that. And that was in 2009 when he was certainly more of an A-lister at that time.
Yeah, let me show you something here.
Sure.
Okay. Now, Disney, not necessarily that this is Disney. I don't know if you know it. One of the things that's happening with Disney, I just throw this at you, is they're now saying they're trying to figure out how they can bring back their male. Have you seen that? They're saying we got to figure out, we've lost all these males that normally watch us, these men from like age 20 to 35, guys like me that happen to like movies like Predator. Don't get me wrong. I can watch a good drama and all that kind of stuff, but I like Alien and I like Predator. I like sci-fi action movies. There's lots of them, man. There's even old ones. It comes from, I was a big Star Trek fan. That turned me on the original to sci-fi and then anything to do with spaceships and stuff. I like it. And now they're trying to, but for some reason, they can't figure out where they went wrong. You know what I mean? They can't figure out where in the world they went wrong and why in the world people, young males no longer, first of all, their movies suck. First of all, that's every movie. That's every movie. 3 empowered women who are, a diverse group of empowered women who are overcoming, patriarchy and things of that nature. Can't understand why all the guys wouldn't want to watch that. And then they've got to have one black woman, one white woman, one Indian or whatever the hell woman. They've got to have a diverse group of people who just go around and beat up guys and knee them in the groin and stuff like that, and then rail about how they're standing up against the patriarchy. And then these women, unlike old superheroes, the old superhero will get the hell beat out of him. He's just about ready to lose, and at the last minute he comes back and figure out a way to win. These women are perfect. They blow up stars. They're so powerful. They're the most powerful creatures that ever existed. And here's what I always find interesting about those: you'll have a diverse group of women on a spaceship. When there's one black, one white, one Asian, one, who has one leg, the other one's blind, the other, as diverse a group as they can, right? They'll go 100 million miles across the galaxy. They'll land on a planet. And for some reason, on that planet, they'll talk to people. And on that planet, there's one black person, one black person. And I'm like, how the hell did these people who lived 400 light years on the other side had the exact same demographic makeup as the people on the spaceship that came from Earth, no matter what? And they wonder why a bunch of males who are never even portrayed as a superhero, if they are, then it's like, well, the old Captain Marvel, who was a guy, is replaced by the new Captain Marvel, who is a blind, racially mixed female, who just pushes him out of the way, and because he's just a weak little chump and defeats all of the bad guys in the universe by herself because she's perfect and never. It's sickening, but Disney can't figure out why they're having a problem and losing money.
Oh yeah. Now look, this is always, but let's be clear about the timeline here. It's always been about the bottom line. It's always been about turning the profit. Never, ever has it been about a board meeting of all the shareholder CEOs sitting around saying, how can we do something good for society? How can we do something good for women? It was never about that to begin with. So let's start with that. So this forcing of plots, forcing of characters, pushing this onto a demographic that doesn't care. But the women don't want to go out and see this anyways. That's not even their movie. Young males are who bought. This is what, when I grew up, it was the comic book stores had guys in it. That's what it was. You can't force a demographic to get excited about something, and while you're trying to do that, you're going to lose your other demographic that used to be excited about. So that's generally how it goes. Look, I'll tell you this: that there was a time where it kind of tricked people for a little bit. You had this moment where, and I'm going to mention her. We talked about this on your show, Garland. We talked about Gal Gadot. And look, I'm going to tell people, if you want to do a little experiment, go back and watch Gal Gadot in the first Wonder Woman, because times have changed. When that came out, that was like 2017, and we didn't know about her Zionist insanity. We didn't know that she actually murdered people in Lebanon in 2006 and was an IDF trainer. Like, that happened. We didn't know that. We did know she was kind of a bad actress, but you weren't allowed to say that in 2017 because she was breaking barriers, and you had Patty Jenkins as the director, and it was like, oh, go women. I urge people, I say, look, if you want to do a little experiment, go back and watch that first Wonder Woman and watch it from a point of view of are you watching a good movie or a bad movie? Guess what? You're watching a bad movie. It's a bad character. She's a bad actress. There's no character arc. It's really dull. And she has she doesn't learn anything. The character's kind of stupid. The lines are dumb. The relationship, everything about it is dumb. But we weren't allowed to say that in 2017. We had to say go women, and it made a lot of money. Wonder Woman actually made a lot of money. That's over with. I think we've learned our lesson. And again, like, you might have a good memory of seeing that and go, oh yeah, that wasn't one of the good ones. No, it was really, really, really bad. And Gal Gadot's a really shitty actress. And she's a shitty person too. But even put that aside, go watch that movie and you'll see what the problem is. And what they're finally willing to admit today in 2025, 8 years later, is this isn't working. We lost our number one demographic in the process of experimenting and pushing this. And again, I will end it with this. It was never about doing something good for society. It was about how can we make money? Well, guess what? You tried it. It failed. Now you're worse off than you were before you started. Good luck.
Yeah, it was always about pushing a culture. And it was the Hollywood culture, because it's a very, very small, tiny little culture, and I always put it to you like this. It would be like a little town in Mississippi where everybody likes coon hunting and catfishing. And they said, yes, sir, we're going to make the movies here. What are you going to do? We're making a movie about coon hunting and catfishing. Everybody in our town loves coon hunting and catfishing. And we're going to release that movie out, and everybody in the world's going to like it. And people are like, what the hell kind of movie is this? It's about coon hunting and catfish. Everybody loves coon hunting and catfish. And you watch it and you're like, yeah, that sucks. And everybody's like, nah, we're not watching this movie. And they're like, we don't understand. Okay, we're going to make us another movie. What this? Now, this one's going to be about catfish and coon hunting. Oh, boys, we're going to be about them old boys went out there. They got some coon catfish. And no matter why they make movie, well, we're just going to make one about catfishing this time. Noodling for catfish? No. Filleted and fried. Good old fried catfish. And no matter what, they make a movie that in their little town, in their little culture, it's a blast. Everybody loves it. It's perfect. They do a premiere. Everybody claps. Everybody comes. They got on their camouflage gear, their national catfishing club hats, and everybody loves it because in their culture it's perfect. But they can never understand why the rest of the world ain't into raccoons and flathead catfish, because they're so delicious and fun to hunt. Right? That's to me. That's it. You got this little culture and you make it and you send it to the rest of the world. And guys like me are like, dude, I'm old school guy. I just give me some aliens, Arnold Schwarzenegger or something, blowing something up. How about a spaceship fight? X-Wing fighters, perhaps? I don't know. How about a blue person is in charge? Why does everyone have to be a woman? Every single time, leading everything. I watch a movie. The governor's a woman. The president's a woman. The police chief's a woman. Here comes an investigator. Oh, something's going on. The chief, the head of the airport is coming in because there's a terrorism. Oh, it's a woman. And I'm like, come on. Every single person in every single movie in power shouldn't be a white guy. Shouldn't be a black guy. Shouldn't be a woman. It shouldn't be a diverse group of something or other. Just put people out there and give us a damn movie with some depth of character. There's no depth of character. He's just a black guy or a woman. No deep depth of, no Lucille Balls, no Fred Sanford and Sanford and Son. Depth of character. I don't even care if they're stereotypical. Like Fred Sanford, he was depth of character and he was funny. People want funny.
Yeah, they want funny. They want it to feel organic. They want it to feel like it's coming from an honest place. There's nothing honest about checking boxes. DEI is the most dishonest thing you can do to a creative field like storytelling. You can't tell me that. When we first learned creative writing back in grade school, The teacher doesn't tell us, now before you guys start doing your writing and your imagination, just write whatever you want. They don't tell you, check a box here, guys. We will not accept your creative writing project if you don't. You have to have this many amount of LGBT up here. You have to have this many lines. Count your pages too. Count every word, because we're going to do a letter count and a word count at the end. And if you don't check every box, you get an F. That didn't happen. That's not how it works. And you let kids, as we grow up, we learn, are we the type that has something to say? And a good education is you can find the really good writers in there, and they will eventually, hopefully, write something awesome, write a good novel, write a screenplay. How are you going to do that if you're going to do DEI checkpoints on everything? So you're not going to get anything more organic. And like you said, Garland, it's about just feeling like it's a human story. I don't care about checking boxes. And the last point I'll make is, and we learned this, and this is back to politics when we talk about checking a box for Obama. Obama looks like us. He feels good. We're not falling for that anymore. Look, we first time you fooled us, shame on you. But we're not falling for that again. Just because somebody in power looks like us doesn't mean anything was done for us. Okay? Same with Hollywood movies. Just because you went and you spent the rest of your paycheck, you barely made rent, and you made it to the movies with your loved one to have a good 2 hours at the theater, just because somebody on that screen looks like you doesn't mean anything was done for you, okay? Those people are making millions of dollars. You're not. So don't think for a second that something was done for you. You still have your shitty job. You still have to deal with your BS at your workplace and your home life and your day-to-day and your health problems, and you're one medical emergency away from being bankrupt or being homeless. That person on the screen looking like you doesn't do anything for you. Just wanted to get that perfectly clear.
Yeah. And here's the other part. Look, don't paint a picture. And you're painting. Hey, Garland, we would like to put this painting up on your wall. We'd like to sell it to you for $500. Oh, wait, I love a good painting. I look at the painting and I'm like, that sucks. Yes, but it was painted by, but the canvas was made by a diverse group of people and this and that. And it was painted by a female who was mistreated and I'm like, yeah, but the painting sucks. I mean, like, you want me to put that piece of crap on my wall? I don't care if it was painted by a poor guy, a rich guy, Hunter Biden as an example. I don't care. Yeah. Give me a painting that looks good, and I'll buy it from you at a fair price, and I'll put it on my wall. I'm looking for a painting for my wall, and I want one that looks good. You know what the answer is? Well, you're an evil, sexist, racist pig because you won't buy this sucky looking painting that was made by a diverse group of artists or some such bullshit. And that's what I get. I'm going to a movie. All right, Aliens, the latest. I love Predator, right? I watched this Predator. I got to tell you this. I'm out of town and I'm sitting there. I'm going to watch a movie tonight. There's a woman that looks like she's about 5'3", 125 pounds. She goes into this camp. It's supposed to be like she's supposed to be a Native American person back in the 1700s. She goes into this camp where these trader guys who go trap furs and stuff are. 5 of them. They got knives and guns. She's unarmed. 5 grown men. She beats every one of them up and kills most of them. Unarmed. The Predator. I watched the Predator literally in this movie fights a grizzly bear. This grizzly bear, so you might have saw it. He gets in a battle with the grizzly bear. Predator's a badass dude. That's what I like about him. He defeats the grizzly bear with his bad hand. His big knife comes out. He jabs the grizzly bear. He holds the grizzly bear up and body slams the grizzly bear. I'm like, now that's my kind of Predator right there. If I'm going to watch a movie, I want a Predator that can beat a grizzly bear with his bare hands. Let's see where we go from here. She defeats the Predator. Now, I just watched this guy beat a 2,000-pound grizzly bear with his bare hand, slam it mercilessly to the ground. And this woman's like 5'3", 120 pounds, and she does something that a freaking grizzly bear couldn't do, and she defeats the Predator with her little freaking Native American tomahawk and chops his head off. And I'm like, what the hell did I just see? And I'm like, if I had paid money to watch that movie, they'd have probably locked me up because I'd have been wrestling with some guy at the ticket booth saying, give me my money back, I've been had.
Yeah, that's again. I think that we're in a time now where you can say these things, Garland, and it's okay to say them now. I think that's the good news. We're making progress, because you couldn't say this like 8 years ago. You would be the POS that, come on, man, come on, girl power, let's go.
Right.
So I think that we're able to start having these conversations again. And Disney, like you said at the beginning of the segment, Disney is admitting out loud they have a problem. So it's not working, and I think it's time. Yeah. So the protesting works. And by the way, I do have some good news here. We mentioned Gal Gadot. We just found out yesterday, because the Venice Film Festival is happening out in Rome, and the activist group called Venice for Palestine has succeeded in their protest and has stopped Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot will not be attending the festival based on her outright support for genocide. Her co-star, Gerard Butler, if you didn't know this, also supports genocide. He's not welcome there either. And neither of them are going to be there. So good riddance. And this is it's somewhat a different topic, but not really. It shows you that the people who buy tickets, who allow these celebrities to have their celebrity lives and the movie studios to have their movie studio lives, they can have a problem with what with what these studios and what these actors are doing, and they can be vocal about it. We can be vocal about it, and we can actually make a difference. And that's what these guys did. And now the stars of this film that is premiering at the Venice Film Festival will not be attending their own premiere, and that's good. So that shows you the power to the people can actually win sometimes.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Matt Weinglass. Once again, tell everybody where they can find you online.
The Homeless Left. We are on Rumble Tuesdays and Thursdays, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And like you said, the opening, our YouTube channel, which was terminated, we had to start a new one. As you can see under my name, it's THL Presents. That's on YouTube. It's The Homeless Left. Both of those are channels. You can follow me on Twitter as well, at Matt Weinglass. And we'll keep doing what we're doing. Thank you, Garland, for having me on again. I always appreciate our conversations, and I keep up the good work.
Somebody says, okay, what do you think these two guys, are they IOF or not? No, we're CIA, man. We're CIA. You know what I always say to people when they say, I don't trust you, Garland? I say, you're my kind of guy. That's what I say. Somebody says, I don't trust you. Why should I trust? I've had people call me in, of course, on my Pacifica show, because I hate the Democrats. They think I'm like a Republican or something. Yep. And then I say, but I hate the Republicans. Oh, you're probably we don't trust you, Garland. And I say, good. Now you're learning. Don't trust me. Trust yourself. Do your own research. Don't trust the people that are telling you not to do your own research. Do not trust me. You automatically assume that Matt and I are, I don't know, a couple of IDF, MI6, Five Eyes, CIA propagandist spies. That's what you should assume. If you don't trust us and you think we're up to no good, at least you're in the right direction. You know, that's the way I see it. Don't trust the IOF, CIA. Just assume that we're all of the above. That way, whatever we say, you'll go research it. And don't be lazy. Don't sit around and say, well, I think they're wrong. But don't be lazy. Go research it. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Matt. Follow him at THL Presents on YouTube and The Homeless Left on Rumble. Hey, everybody, if you can afford it, if it's Patreon or buy me a coffee or something or whatever, it's highly appreciated if you can support the channel. Even if you can't, the most important thing you can do is share this on all your social media platforms. We're out.